What's up, Roland here. This time on 3D NerdStop, we're going to design some spacers to solve a problem I'm having with the legs for my new desk. Alright, here we are. Now, this is a little bit different episode. We're not actually going to download anything from Thingiverse this time. We're actually going to design it and print it ourselves. So let me see if I can explain the problem I'm having. These are the table legs I bought for the new desk I'm building for my makerspace. They're adjustable table legs, so you can adjust the desk heights to whatever height you want them to. They're really nice. I got the idea for these legs from JayzTwoCents. So I give him credit for that. He's the one that gave me the idea of how to build this desk. So I did use these idea for these legs from him. I will have a link to his channel in the description down below. So let's see here. The problem we were having is, well, I got the legs in, and as you can see, they come nicely packaged. I ordered all of them that I needed, and this is the leg as it comes in. So I opened it up, so you have the leg, the mounting plate, the screws, and the directions. So I opened up the directions and took a look at them. And this is what caught my eye. Okay, it says here that you need 1 inch material, 25 millimeters or 1 inch material to put the screws in so they don't poke through. At 24 millimeters or 7/8, it'll poke through. Well, the problem I have is my entire desk is built out of 3/4 inch plywood, which is about 19 millimeters. So I'm about 6 millimeters short in thickness. Well, that might be a little bit of a problem, so we're going to have to fix that. So let's take a look at it. Here we go. Here's the mounting plate. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a spacer to go underneath this mounting plate. So when we mount the legs, we'll do the spacer, the mounting plate, and then the leg. And that'll allow me to increase the thickness of the wood without actually increasing the thickness of the wood. Now, yes, I know I could have gone to the hardware store and just bought shorter screws. Yes, I could have. And that would have been simpler. It would have been faster. It probably cost about the same. But what fun is that? I mean, come on. We've got a 3D printer. Let's do some practical use with it. So here's what I did. So go over to Fusion 360. Now what we'll do is really quickly we'll go through and I'll show you how to design this. It did not take me long to do. Okay, so let's see here. So the first thing we need to do is we need to draw our rough shape. So we'll get a circle. And we will go to this plane here. And we want to say we're going to draw a sketch here. Now sketch is just like a drawing. So we'll start from the center here and we'll come out. And this is supposed to be 105. Supposed to be 105 in diameter. Okay, so we'll say enter, and that gives us a circle. That's 105 millimeters in diameter. Now we need to do the centerpiece, which is rather simple. We'll just do another circle. We could also hit C on the keyboard as a shortcut. So instead of going there, I can just hit C, and it puts me back in the circle tool. Come back to the center, come out 40, and hit enter. Okay, so that gives us the base shape we're going for. So now we can actually stop our sketch. Okay, and what I care about is this portion here. I'm not worried about this here. So I can click on this right here, and then right click on it and go extrude. And I can say I want to extrude it 6 millimeters and hit enter. So now that's made it 6 millimeters thick. Okay. The next thing we need to do is add our 5 circles to the surface. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to go over to sketch. Now we can go to sketch and we can select line, or we can just hit L on the keyboard and that'll give us line. Now we're drawing another sketch, so we have to tell it what surface we want to draw the sketch on. So we want to draw the sketch on the top surface here. So we'll select it, and then we'll grab the center point here and we'll drag straight up past it. And click, and then we'll hit escape so it drops the line. Now we have one line here, so we'll select it and then we'll right click on it and then we'll turn it into a construction line. Okay. So now we have our construction line, so we can start adding some things we need to. The first thing we need to do is we need to come up here and go to point. We need to add a point here. Need to add a point right here. Just that one simple point. Now we need to draw a circle. Now we need to draw a circle. And actually we need to draw an ellipse. We're not going to draw a circle, we're going to draw an ellipse. So let's do that. So we'll click on ellipse. And we'll just come down here roughly where we think we want to be and click. Okay, so it's asking us, we can go width here, which we want to be 10 millimeters. So we can click at 10. And then we have to go up, which we want to be 7.5. And boom. Now it has just drawn the ellipse we need. Okay, now we need to add another point. We need to add a point right here. Okay, and the reason we're adding this point is so we can put measurements in. So we have to go from point to point in order to add a measurement, or corner to corner, or line to line. Circles you have to add points to so you can get measurements in them. Okay, so now we're going to come over here and we want to do a sketch dimension, or we can click D and hit D on the keyboard. And what this does is allows us to pick this point and this point, come off to the side here, and say that we want this to be 7.5 millimeters. So I'm stating from the outside edge of the circle to the outside edge of the hole, I want it to be 7.5 millimeters, which it just did. So now that's placed one of our holes where we need it. So we can stop the sketch. We can come over here and we can select the inside of this hole. We can extrude down. Okay, and we've just entered the hole in our sketch. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we take our hole here in the model and we need to make 5 of them evenly spaced around the circle. So the easiest way to do that is you can go under Create and come down here to Pattern, and we want to do a pattern based on a circle. Okay, so under Pattern Type, there's a couple different types of objects we can select. We have a face, body, feature, component. What we want to do is we want to base this on a feature. Okay, and the feature is the extrusion we did to remove the material. Okay, and then we want that to go around. We just have to select an axis, so we want to go around the outside edge of the circle. Now we need a total of 5 of them. Okay, and we don't need to change any other settings. And then we can just say, okay. And now we have 5 holes in the model evenly spaced all the way around. And that pretty much builds our model. So now we have what we need in order to build our plates. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to export this model so we can 3D print it. Well, we'll real easily come up here to Make, go to 3D Print. It's going to come up here and show us this. All we have to do is select our model. As you can see, it shows all the geometry for how it draws it. Okay, we're going to do this in Print Studio, which is Autodesk's version of a slicer. So you can say okay. It'll take it just a second to open it up here. Boom, there we go, it opens it up. We can tell it to center it and move to the build plate surface. We can do layout, doesn't really change anything. Then we can do repair, and we can see that the model doesn't have any problems. I always go to the repair feature first before I export, because if there's any errors, I want it to fix the errors here, because its application does a pretty good job of fixing errors. Okay, so then we can go here to File, we can export all, and it exports it as an STL. And then you just navigate to where you want to save the file and save it as whatever you want to. So once we save that, we would open up Cura. Here we go, here's the file. As you can see, It's a disc with some holes in it. Not a real complicated model. This is a real simple model, but this will do what we need it to. Now, before we print the full-size one, because it's a model and it's for a mechanical use, we might want to make sure that all the holes are in the correct place, it's the correct distance around, make sure all my measurements were correct. Well, the easiest way to do that is to come up here to scale and undo the padlock so it doesn't make all the dimensions the same. And here for the Z size, we can do something as simple as make it 6 millimeters and hit enter. As you see, it just made it really thin. It left all the other dimensions alone, so they're all the other dimensions are exactly where they were. So that means we can print a really thin one out that's going to print out in like 26 minutes, and then we don't have to worry about taking the time to print out a whole bunch of them real thick. Okay, so once we're sure, then we can come back and change this back to we had 6 millimeters is what we had it at, and we can change it back to 6 millimeters. Now, if we decided we needed it to be thicker, we could real easily change that 6 to a 7, and we can make it thicker, because it's not going to change the diameter of our circle or the distance our holes are spaced apart. All it's doing is making the material thicker. Okay? So then once I did that, and I did do a test print to make sure everything lined up, and it did. It lined up great. Is I took this and I did a multiply, and I multiplied it by 3. So I can get 4 of them on one build plate, and I can print all 4 of them at once. Now, as you can see right now, it says almost 13 hours, but we don't need to take that much time to print this. Okay? We are going to change some dimensions here a little bit. So our shell thickness right now is set at 1.2. And of course the shell thickness is based on the nozzle size. So I want to make the shell thicknesses a little bit thicker, so we can go to 1.6. I think it'd be better if we go to 2 millimeters. So we'll make all the shell thicknesses 2 millimeters. I'm going to leave the top and bottom at 1.2, but I'm going to change the infill to 30%. Okay, so that gives us still a fairly dense infill, but really, if you think about it, the pressure is around the inside of the circle, the outside of the circle, and around each hole. Well, I made that 2 millimeters thick, and it's solid. The rest of this is just holding all those places together. Now, yes, it all does take some pressure, but it's not like I'm going to be standing on this desk and doing stuff like that. It's to hold my computer and stuff. So I'm not worried about it holding up a ton of weight. It should hold up more than I throw at it. One other thing I'm going to do is, because I'm not worried about it being really, really pretty, is I can change this to 6.5, which means it'll print a little faster. And then I can also change this to a 0.3 layer height. Again, so it'll print a little faster. Now, you have to remember, for those of us that use Cura, that you need to go under Advanced, and if you want your first layer to be the same height, you have to change it to 0.3. Okay, so you got to remember to do that, otherwise it'll print the first layer at 0.2 and then 0.3 after that. So as you can see, we just took it down. We just basically cut the time it's going to take to print this model in half by doing that. So now it's going to take 6 hours and 31 minutes, roughly, which is 46.66 meters of material, or 139 grams. It's not bad to print out 4 discs. And now I have 8 legs on my desk for the way my desk is laid out, so I'm going to need to do 2 prints of that, which is just fine. So we'll go over our settings one more time. So we're going to do a layer height of 0.3. We're doing a shell thickness of 2 millimeters. We're doing a top and bottom of 1.2. Okay, we're going to do a fill density of 30% at a print speed of 65. We're going to do our print temperature at 210 and our bed temperature at 50. We don't need any support material on this. And we did go under advanced and change our initial layer thickness to 0.3 so it matches our layer height. Okay? Alright, so now we'll just save this off to our SD card. We'll take it over to the printer, get the printer heated up, and get her printing. Alright guys, here it is. This is the disc. As you can see, it printed out nicely. Now, it's not a gorgeous print, but we printed it out fairly fast. And we printed it out fairly thick. We weren't worried about it being 100% beautiful because it's going to be hidden. So here's what the print looks like, and here's what it looks like installed. Now, I did add a washer here just to make sure that my measurements on everything was correct. And if anybody has ever worked with wood, yeah, it says it's 3/4, and I measured it and it was like 18.5 millimeters, so it's a little under 3/4, but wood's not necessarily 100% going to stay that thickness. It swells, it contracts, it goes up and down, so just to make sure, I went ahead and added the washers just to add a little more thickness to the whole thing. I just didn't want to do a stack of washers to do that. So as you can see, it looks great here. It fit perfectly. It's the right dimensions and everything. As you can see, I put 2 of them in, and I went ahead and did the whole thing that way, and it seems to be working great. Thank y'all for watching. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, have a great day.